Maybe.
You're live, brother.
Here we go. I guess it's not going to play our intro today, so I'll try to get that going. Maybe. If not,
talking, man.
Welcome in, Buckeye Backers. We're going without an intro because, hey, acapella now, nothing. We just got to go from the start. Ohio State came in, took care of business in the shoe. You know, after last week and worried about the offense a little bit, there were no worries. No worries last night. That's for damn sure. The Buckeyes absolutely dominated Minnesota. And like you said before we got on, in a week where college football top 10 were dropping like flies, Ohio State scared us when that opening drive and then comes out and takes care of business, just like we want them. You know, the defense started it off, and then the offense piggybacked on that and took it down the field and scored right away. Through the air, I might add, through the air. And a breath of fresh air.
Never be scared about a first drive. First drives are scripted. They're formulated. You see a lot of scores early on. That's usually your best plays, your best packages. Mm-hmm. Always take that first hit. It's about the second and third drive and what does your teams do. And that was a testament to this team. Minnesota put their best of the best out there. They got a field goal, and then they didn't even sniff the red zone from that point forward.
It was the bend but don't break, but they only bent once and broke never. Dude,
that's solid.
This defense is lights out.
Historic. No, absolutely it's historically.
Yes. If they're going to continue this trend, I mean, no one had scored on them in the first quarter until this game. Not one team had.
And again, that's why I said what I said before, because what's so remarkable is you typically see a lot of teams, NFL college, scoring on their first drives because it's 10, Correct. 15 scripted plays. It's your best plays. You're coming out guns blazing. It's pretty common to see that. So this team is historical in the sense that was the first score they've given up this year. And now they're averaging 5 points a game and still in October have not given up double-digit points. It is a historically good defense that we're witnessing this year.
And from the locker room, Sage, Ohio, it's a great day to be a Buckeye. Every day is a great day, but today is even more special. When you get a win like that, a dominating performance against a Big Ten foe, you know, they could come in here. I mean, it's everyone's Super Bowl. They come into the shoe. They came in prepared. Obviously, they had that scripted first possession, and it worked. It gave them a few yards, but that was it. You got 3 points and a few yards, and the rest of the game, it was all Ohio State after that. All Ohio State. And again, started with this defense, creating and stuffing. Like that 4th and 1, I was just like, Fleck, that is not the call, man. You do not go up the middle against this defense. Not with K-Mac in there. You don't go up the middle against K-Mac in this defense because they're going to tear you up, lights out. And it was really refreshing to see what Sonny Styles did, because Sonny Styles just absolutely blew up that guard. Like, he didn't make a tackle, but he pushed that guard back 3 yards into the backfield so that other people could. And those are the little things that you don't see on the stat sheet. Like, if you're looking at the box score, you don't see those guys. You don't see Jeremiah Smith running down the field at the start of the second quarter when Carnell Tate gets a pass over the middle. Jeremiah Smith beats everyone else down the field and goes and makes a block. Dude, he's a superstar. You don't see that always. You don't see the best of the best wide receivers getting downfield, running past everyone else and going to turn around and make a block. Like, that's next level. That is next level stuff, and that's the culture at Ohio State right now.
No, I think that would be the theme that I saw yesterday, was doing the little things right. In a game where you have the talent where you don't need to do the little things right to win the game, they did it. On that play you were describing, that 4th and 1, what they replayed and showed, he timed up the snap count perfectly. Yep. He timed it up because they went shotgun. They had had to audible the snap count. He timed it up based on the guard center combination connection. Those are the little things. I loved the fact that NBC focused in on Nate Roberts on that reversal on the special teams, where they threw across the field on special teams. They focused in on Nate Roberts because he had the opportunity to make a huge blow-up hit. Freshman wants to get on tape, wants to look great. He did.
Blindside.
He got one hand on the front, one hand on the back, clearly blocked. It was a normal, simple block, nothing special, but it opened up that play. That's a freshman making that play. And then I even texted you on the play in the third quarter with Sayin, and I forget what player he was going to. It wasn't a hugely significant play. I think it was only 15, 20 yards. But Minnesota brought up blitz. It was clear as day that if Sayin held on to the ball for as long as he did, he was going to get lit up. He held on to the ball as long as he could to make sure his receiver was open to get it, and he got lit up. And I told you, those are the kind of things that you're watching on film today where you gain another level of respect for your quarterback, because he could have easily thrown it away, could have easily thrown it early and not taken that hit. He stood in the pocket, got lit up so his receiver could make a play. These are the little things that if you're a coaching staff, you say, you didn't have to do this against Minnesota to win. You did it because that's the way you're coaching and you're doing it the right way.
That wasn't the only time he did it. If you go back and look at that first possession in the red zone where he overthrew it out of the end zone, I think it was to Tate. He stood in the pocket and took a hit then too. So saying
he did, really he just missed it.
And that's something we haven't seen this season so far. We haven't seen him standing in the pocket and taking that hit. A lot of times he scrambles out, and that's why he missed some of those reads, because he didn't take that time to stand in the pocket. That's something that you just like. That's not innate. You move when someone's coming after you. When a 300-pounder is coming after you, running a 4.6, you get out of the way. That's something you have to learn over time. It's not easy at all. I don't know that I could do it. I don't know that I could just stand there. I'd be moving. I'd be running. I mean, I got to apologize for Seattle Matt right now, because he's a big Browns fan. If you see him looking up, he's worried that the Browns are going to lose again. He's worried that they're going to have to draft 3 more quarterbacks.
Yeah. Dylan Gabriel today. That should tell us everything we need to know.
Well, hopefully he does well.
This is his first like he did in the Rose Bowl in London. It's all right, Buckeye Nation. I'm still focused on you. I can do 2 things at once very well. Just ask my wife. So
you're a multitasker. Get back in the
locker room. You know what?
This is a good point.
What I want to say.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go. No. Right. Get Sage in.
So Sage is in the locker room talking about this defense, and this year, this is quintessential, like 2025 Buckeyes. This year, I watched the defense as intently as I do the offense. It's like poetry. That's spot on. That is absolutely spot on. The defense is where you focus your attention right now, and it's hard not to. Like, as an offensive guy, it's hard for me not to focus on the defense now, just because you're like, what are they going to do now? What is Matt Patricia going to do now? What are they going to do to mix up these quarterbacks? What are they going to do to mix up the scheme? And where is the leading tackler going to come from? Because every single game, it's been a different one. And that's got to be some type of record. 5 different leading tacklers in each of your first 5 games. That's insane.
I almost feel like it's a competition now, where I want to lead the team in tackles. And it is such a hard thing to have.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Can it happen again? Can you get a 6 different? At some point, you're running out of resources. But I don't think this defense can.
I don't know. Peyton Pierce was second in tackles this week. He hasn't sniffed anywhere around there. So
he was first one game against
maybe.
He was the leading tackler. Maybe it was Igbinosa was against Texas. I got it written down. Because I was going to make a graphic out of it before we started the show, but then I figured we better do the show. Let's see. I can't remember what game it was. I want to say Grambling.
Igbinosa for sure was Texas. I do remember that.
I'm pretty sure it was Grambling State.
Yeah, probably. And that's where it's always going to throw you off because obviously your starters didn't play very much in a game like that. But
I'll tell you right now because I got it up. All right, so against Texas, Igbinosa had 11 tackles. Peyton Pierce had 6 against Grambling to lead it. Arvell Reese had 7 against Ohio to lead it, the tacklers. Caden Curry last week obviously had 11, and Sonny Styles with 8 against Minnesota. That is impressive. What that tells me is that defense is just so talented, anyone can take over. It doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter where it's come from, whether it's linebacker, whether it's cornerback. They're that good.
They are that good. And that's what I think. And they want to fight for it. I think it's a badge of honor to say, I led this defense this week in tackles. That is not an easy thing to do on this defense.
And if it ends up being the best defense ever, imagine being able to say that. I led this best defense ever in tackles.
It would be surreal. Again, you are on a historic pace. It's why I've been screaming at you for 3 weeks. Lead with the defense, because what we're witnessing here is historic. 5 points a game average into October. You haven't given up double-digit points yet. Your TFLs are through the roof. It's just everything they're doing, short of, if I have to nitpick a little bit, short of, I want to see a few more turnovers. But other than that, and that's nitpicking, this is a historically good defense.
Mika joining the locker room. Good morning, go Bucks. It feels good to be a Buckeye. Amen. It really does. This is something next level. I think Ryan Day's next level, the way he's approaching this. Like, he had stuff in his post game after the game, like Bo Jackson shouldn't have been reaching that ball out. Like, Keen Holtz should have hit the right hole instead of bouncing it outside on that 3rd and 1.
Yeah,
because they should have got that first down. And you could see him on the broadcast afterwards.
Yeah,
he was like,
mad.
I told him to go inside. And he's yelling on the headphones. And earlier in the season, he said, if you could only publish what was on those headphones, write that down, you'd make a ton of money. Because there are conversations on it. Just think about it in the heat of the moment. You gotta realize how intense and how emotional that game gets in those split seconds. People are saying stuff they wouldn't say normally.
No, let's hope that stuff never comes to the light of day. But that's
for any team.
That's this iteration. That's where Coach Day has elevated himself to this elite status. And you saw this in the runs with Nick Saban, again, probably the greatest college football coach of all time. It was what did we do in this game that I can coach? What can I adjust? Because you're always looking and striving to get better. You got to take away the 42-3 score. You got to take away all this other stuff and say, hey, here's the areas of focus. And you don't want to, again, that's why I wanted to lead with those little things, right? Because you don't go into the day and sit here and rip your guys up and down, all that. You look at the little things that we talked about and you say, these are the things that we coached you. These are the things you're doing well. These are the things we like. Now here's the areas of focus. So you balance that out a little bit more, but I think it hits a little bit different when you nitpick in a game like this versus any other game.
Billy Tuesday, joining the locker room. Nice to have you, bud. Yeah, the other thing about Day was when he came out and they did his pregame interview on the sideline, he was like, this isn't about anything else. They got a great team. This is about the Buckeyes. And I was like, wow, dude. Wow, this is about the Buckeyes. I don't care about anything else. I want to make this team better. I need a hungry team. They need to be passionate and hungry and desperate every time they step on the field. And so what do you do from a 42-3? You find those little things. We still got work to do. This isn't it. This isn't the team. We may have aired it out finally. Unleashed. They took the training wheels off of Julian Sayin. In this game, he was airing it out. I mean, he was 80% again, and he's 80% on the year, leading the nation now.
His accuracy is unreal, and I forget which wide receiver, either it was Tate or Smith said this. He was born to throw a football. And it sounds a little silly to say, but it is. His accuracy is off the charts. His arm strength is very good. And when you pair those two things together, you see him placing the ball in the right areas. Even again, that throw to Tate, what was it? I forget if it was how long, 49 yards, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
That was a dime. And I think people look at a play like that and they think, oh, that's what a quarterback should do. Most quarterbacks would struggle with that throw. That is not an easy throw to drop it in a bucket 45 yards deep. And he did that. So that's what we're seeing as well as his accuracy, short to intermediate is great. But now that he's starting to show, hey, 50 yards out, I can drop it in like a dime. That's this next iteration of saying, I want to see him. We really need to be stretching that defense more and challenging there.
Yeah, I agree. We still need to take those shots. And he took a couple shots. He took that shot to Jeremiah Smith where it was a little underthrown too. If you get that ball out or up, he's making that. And it was a good play by the defensive back. You got to give him credit for that. But it just needed to hang in the air a little longer or be out ahead of him just a little bit more. Billy Tuesday, you're absolutely right. Yeah, we could preach running, passing game, passing attack, but this running game still needs some work. It is a development and process, and that's some of the things you heard from Day on Tuesday and Wednesday this week was, he's looking at the wider lens, which is probably why you saw a lot of the multiple tight ends last week and working on getting CJ the ball and learning, and then getting Peoples in there too. I thought it was a breath of fresh air, really, to see Peoples have some success because really, like we've said it before, this is a mental game. Football has always been a mental game. You need to build that confidence, whether it's against the number ones or number twos. Peoples went in there and he had a good showing. He played well. He was running hard. He broke a couple tackles even, and he was running fast. So I just need to see him get that mental part of the game and feel good about himself because we're going to need him in the future. I mean, Bo Jackson can't be the only one toting the rock. He totes it well when he totes it, but we're going to need more than one back in the stretch run because this team is going far in the playoffs, right? And they should. With what they're built on right now, they should. So, yeah, I agree with
absolutely.
you. Absolutely. And it will. I think it's going to develop. CJ Donaldson, I'm almost at a loss of words for how to describe him as a running back because he's not a power back. I mean, if we want short yardage, it's got to be Bo because Bo's going to go forward. He's going to plow through someone, and he's going to get those extra yards no matter what. It's innate in him. It's built in his character. It's built in his DNA that he's fighting for yards. He's not even thinking about it. It just happens.
Well, that's where I would say a couple of things. I think they look, Nate Roberts is a special young player. I agree there. But you look at the course of a 16, 17 game season, right? I don't need to have Bo Jackson leading my team in rushing every single week. I don't. I want to keep a lot of tread on that tire throughout a very long, grueling season. So I've come to the realization that CJ Donaldson is my workhorse. He is my guy that he can go out there. He can get me my 3 yards, get me my 4 yards. I'm fine with that. Now, these 4th and 1 things, again, to your point, I want Jackson in there. I'm a little perplexed on that. But I'd say by and large, in a lot of these games coming up, Wisconsin, Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, I have no problem CJ Donaldson leading the team in rushing attempts because I don't need anybody else. So that's the first thing with Donaldson, and I kind of like this concept. And I think the second thing that we saw yesterday, which I want to see them develop more, is they threw the ball to run the ball as opposed to running the ball to throw the ball. And that's what I really wanted to see from this team because its strength is its passing game. And when you start doing this, where we saw first half of Washington and last year against Michigan, run, 3rd and 8, try to pass, that is a difficult formula. So start passing the ball on first down. Give me that 4 to 6 yards. And now you're in 2nd and short. Now you run the ball again and you're 3rd and manageable or even a first down off that. So throwing to run is what this offense needs to establish its identity off of and then play action off of that.
And I'd argue, piggybacking on that, it actually makes if you're doing that approach, run, pass, it actually makes it more pressure on a young quarterback because you're having that 3rd down and 6, 3rd down and 7, 3rd and 5, that he has to get that first down, and you only get one attempt to do it. So if you get a couple passes passing to the best wide receivers in college football and maybe some of the best that will be in the pros, it's a lot easier to establish that confidence and that rhythm to get some short passes like they did. And even yesterday, it wasn't necessarily short passes. I mean, they were airing it out all over the field. One thing I wanted to point out, though, was how Jeremiah Smith is next level. Go back and look at that first touchdown. And that dude, I can't remember that DB's name, but he made a good play. He made a lot of good plays. But he was holding on to Jeremiah's hips out of the break. I mean, it was like a
kid on a merry-go-round, man. It looked like a kid on a merry-go-round.
It was that kid dancing with that girl at middle school, the one that he really wanted. He was holding on those hips so tight, not letting her go, trying to pull her in closer. Well, Jeremiah Smith spun out of that and made that touchdown catch. That's not easy to do. When someone's grabbing a hold of your hips from behind, you have to have a lot of power to do that. And you're trying to
go back after week 1. You and I had this debate, and I said, this is what greatness is. You're going to get held probably every play. Pretty much, because you are elite and you're just a physical specimen. You're going to get held. You're going to get tugged. You have to fight through that in order to be elite. The elite NFL wide receivers have to do that every single week. And that was a clear demonstration of him fighting through being clearly held. How they missed that in the end zone is beyond me. Clearly held and saying, I'm going to run my route. You can't stop me. That's what that play demonstrated.
And yeah, BJ, that was a great Ohio State win last night. Great Ohio State win.
It was. Yeah. That's the standard. That's what we expect. I mean, it's hard to blow out a conference opponent, no matter what their record is. Go look what happened in Pasadena. It's hard to do.
Everything about
what they did is they won by 39 points. Yeah, it is. It is. But that's what you did. You went out there and dominated a team you should dominate. The scoreboard reflected that. The game reflected that. That is very tough to do in conference play, and they executed flawlessly.
Yeah, and didn't PJ Fleck say after the game that this was the best defense he's seen in 13 years? 13 years. This is the best. This is historic, man. And we could keep going back to that, but wow, is it fun to watch? I think that's probably the best comment I've seen is it's poetry in motion. Like your eyes gravitate towards the defense in a world that's consumed by offense and big plays and touchdowns. Our eyes are falling on that defense. And yes, Carnell Tate had himself a game, man. Absolute baller of a game.
And he'll have a good game. I don't know.
Maybe.
Billy's comment. Carnell have a good game.
Yes, he did. He might have had a small little appetite for the ball, all right, and receiving. And he's showing you why he's going to be that next guy that no one thought was going to be a dominant wide receiver in the NFL, but he is. I mean,
no, he's a mid to late first round pick, like a Mecca Ibuka, and Ibuka is lighting it up with Baker down in Tampa, just like every other wide receiver in the last 5 years who has any type of competent quarterback in the NFL is lighting it up. You're just keeping the train rolling. He will be a first round pick. Absolutely. It'll probably be in the 20s, but he will be a first round pick. And that's another thing you like is, again, this is Coach Day looking at his roster and saying who needs to be fed this week. And this is the type of game where you have the luxury of play calling to, I need to feed somebody new this week. And Jeremiah is always going to get his touches, right? That's a consistent through line. You're going to see Bo Jackson more and more getting what he needs to do. But this was a week where they clearly identified, hey, Tate's going to be our number one. We're going to feed him. And they did. And seeing Claire emerge this week too, we all knew he had the talent, but truly seeing him come out with those 5 catches, I thought he played a great game. And his balance along the sideline, he's demonstrated a couple times. He's a great pass catching tight end.
I'm glad you brought that up. that was something I wanted to really talk about, because when he took that catch, kind of spun around in the air and got that foot down, that's not a tight end catch. That is a wide receiver catch. And he's not getting all the catches that you would want him to get, I guess, expecting what he's going to get coming out of Purdue and being the leading receiver at the tight end position in the Big Ten. But he's learning how to block. He's making himself more well-rounded. He's being versatile, and he's going to make it to the NFL based on being a great blocker and a great pass catcher. Dude he's taking it to a next level, and he wouldn't have had that level at like a Purdue of the world because they would have used him as more of a passing tight end. He's developing his game, and he's going to be that much better in the NFL for it. And it's helping Ohio State. I mean, it's best of both worlds. And I think that pass was to him when Sayin stayed in the pocket and took that hit. I'm pretty sure it was to Claire. Yeah.
The one I believe it was over the middle. And again, It was like 5 minutes ago in the third quarter because I remember texting you.
Yep. Did Claire get that? Yeah. Did Claire get 5 catches?
Yep. For 63. I
think that was a stat that they mentioned when he got that first catch in the first quarter. They mentioned it on air that he had averaged like 5 catches a game, and he's never had that so far this year with the Buckeyes. So I think he got his average from last year, which is kind of cool.
Well, he was the number one weapon.
Yeah, he was the target.
Yeah, and that's. I did. I got distracted by that. But this is what we tell everyone, why you come to Ohio State. It's not the biggest paycheck in college. It's to develop into an NFL talent, to go to the NFL, to make your money in the NFL. That's why you come to Ohio State. And that is, in recruiting and future transfers, is going to differentiate Ohio State from other colleges.
Absolutely. And we got to mention this. We got to say it. For those of you that aren't seeing this and you're going to hear it later on, Heartline should get thank you cards on a daily basis from the NFL. Mika, that's spot on. I mean, he should. Developing these wide receivers into what they are, even when they might not have the biggest stats in the world from season to season. Emeka Egbuka had the most receptions in Ohio State history. But he wasn't like spotlight. He wasn't the go-to last year in the offense. But when he needed to make a catch, he was making that catch. And now he's number 1 in the NFL for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Crazy.
Yeah, especially with their injuries. Yeah, I mean, he's been spectacular down there.
Which NFL team will he be the number 1 wide receiver for?
It's way too early to be mock drafting.
Hopefully the Bengals. Absolutely, I'll take that. I'll take it.
I mean, it could be. But T. Higgins is on a 1-year deal, right? So he's he'll be gone after you need a solid number 2. And I think being a number 2 behind Jamar Chase is not an insult in any way. So
yeah, they should. You're right. The Bengals should just trade up and get offensive linemen over and over and over and over again. If they had the top 10 picks, it should be offensive linemen. Each one of the top 10 picks. All 10 of them.
They've got a lot of problems down there. They got a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So, but I love this fact again with these Ohio State wide receivers, by and large outside of Marvin Harrison, you're seeing them in the teens, sometimes in the 20s. They're kind of a luxury item. They're forgotten about, and then they just go to the NFL and they just light it up. I mean, and it's started. I would say it kind of started with Terry McLaurin, who was a 3rd-round pick that everybody forgot about. And whenever that guy actually had a competent quarterback, he was lighting it up. And I have to say it like that because the Commanders didn't have a quarterback for years and years. But the second they got somebody who could actually throw the football to him, and I'm not even talking Jaden Daniels, I'm talking other quarterbacks that would play sparingly, he was lighting it up. And the same with Chris Olave. Chris Olave may have been forgotten a little bit. New Orleans hasn't had competent quarterback play in years. And everyone's screaming, get him out of there, get him a real quarterback. Same with Garrett Wilson. Hasn't had a really good quarterback. So, I mean, these are wide receivers that everyone agrees have the talent. They just have nobody to throw it to them in the NFL.
Oh, thank you, Mika. Hey, likewise, if you ever want to come on, we'll get you on here. All right.
Can we give a plug to a show? What's a show?
Mika, I can't remember when her show's on. I see it all the time, but Mika, yeah, plug your show. I can't remember what time it's on and what days of the week.
Please.
So go ahead and give it a plug. All right.
That's where I'm going.
If it wasn't for Ohio State, Ohioans would be suicidal. This is our claim to fame. The Buckeyes are obviously going to be supported, and that's why
as I'm watching the Cleveland Browns right now. Yeah, you got a good point.
And that's why Ohio State is so special, because they are what is the culture, the identity of Ohioans. Really and truthfully, nice. They'll talk your ear off, and Buckeye football. That's what it is. That's who we are. Like, if you need something done, if you want a friend, you got one in an Ohioan. And no matter where you go, I mean, they're going to be the typical Midwestern nice people that you meet. And then they're going to cheer for the Buckeyes. So don't talk about on Ohioans Buckeyes, man. That's where we cross the line.
But I think we need to really focus on Coach Day and the coaching staff with this team, because what they are doing, in my opinion, is something we actually have not seen in a very long time, if ever. Because, and again, this is not taking anything away from Urban Meyer or Jim Tressel, but you are seeing an evolution here at Ohio State that, again, you may not have seen as Quinshon Judkins takes it to the house, of course. Perfect timing. Love it. But what you're seeing with Coach Day is they are elevating to a level where they are looking to sustain themselves as a national championship caliber team every year. It is very hard to win a national title. It is even more difficult to repeat as a national champion. And what he is doing is they are elevating themselves now to a point where the standard is national championships, and we are playing an entire season revolved around one singular goal. And you're seeing that. You're seeing that permeate through the coaching staff. You're seeing that evaluated throughout these games. Again, I think I took a critical look last week at saying, maybe they are taking a bigger picture lens on this entire season. Maybe they aren't saying, hey, we're going to get so wrapped up in putting 80 points up a game and clicking in September, because there's no reason to be hot in September. It's what you're doing in November, December, January. So it is an evolution and progression throughout the season. And I think I realized that Coach Day and the staff are just at a different level.
And they're developing at a level as college football is changing. And I think that's the biggest difference, right? Because before, like you said, this is an NFL approach. This is an absolute NFL season now. You can lose one game, 2 games. You can put your team in a bad situation, fight out of it, and have that choice. But you also, I think there's something different too. If you go back and look at the Washington game and the game plan, Ohio State and Ryan Day, based on what he was saying, was looking at that with a wide lens. What do we need? Because we know we're going to get out of there with a W if we just open it up and pass the ball. But we need to develop something. We need that hungry. We need that team that really grits it out, because we're going to need that eventually at the end of the season. Also, if you look at Bo Jackson, think about that run that Zeke Elliott went on. He didn't start really coming on until the end of the season. And then you go to Wisconsin, and then you go to Alabama, and then you go against Oregon, and you're running for over 200 yards every game. That's where they want Bo Jackson at the end of the season, fresh and ready to run for 200 yards a game. And I think that's why he's getting CJ the ball more. And yeah, this is more genius level and planning for the future, no matter what the hot takes are now. And we were one of those guys giving the hot takes. Throw the damn ball. Come on, you have the best wide receivers in college football. And if that's the approach and that's the vision, I'm with that. I'm okay with that.
I am too. It's funny watching the Maryland-Washington game yesterday. You look at, somebody like Maryland's record in September and October. in November and December. And I understand Maryland is not the baseline for Ohio State. You even saw it with Cristobal too in the game with Miami last night. He's dominant in September, October.
Yep.
He falters in November, December. It's not about how you start. It's about how you finish. And I always go back to 2 years ago in the NFL. Vegas Raiders played Kansas City Chiefs. Vegas dominated them at home on Christmas Day. So December 25th, dominated them. They looked completely lost. They looked like they hadn't done anything. Next week, they started clicking. They got into playoff mode, and they used that and went and won the Super Bowl. So you even look at that and you say that late in the year, an elite team says, okay, now we turn it on. Now we click. Now we know what we need to do. But they understood it's not about a loss in September, October, November. That doesn't define you. It's how you are progressing and getting to that ultimate goal. And again, I think this is that complete mindset shift in college football where nobody cares if you lose a game in October anymore. It actually doesn't matter. I mean, it matters a little bit more for Texas and Penn State. We'll get to that later because it's the second one. But anybody getting a first loss in October, it's not defining your season whatsoever unless you're learning and progressing from that. And that's the new college football. And I think Coach Day is ahead of the curve.
And to go a little bit deeper into that, look at where he took Sayin too, because this was every game has been designed to win while building confidence for Sayin, and it's spot on working, right? If you want this guy to feel the best he's felt throwing the football, this is the approach. And like I said, like maybe I was a little upset about it against Washington, but what he's doing is working, right? Getting that ball out, the way he dropped it into the pocket with Carnell Tate, the way he was getting it to the over the middle to Max Clare, and the way he was standing in the pocket taking those hits. This progression is working, right? And by the end of the season, as much as we're seeing of Sayin right now, it's going to be next level because he's learning to make those reads and hold on into the pocket. I would have liked to see maybe another run or two out of Sayin today or yesterday just to keep that on film so everyone knows that he is athletic because dude can run, obviously. And I'm getting nitpicky now. I'm trying to find things to be mad about, and there's nothing.
But really that's where we're at, and that's a good thing. And if you look at some of our more frustrating times, obviously Texas game, right? That was his first ever game against a top 5 opponent, right? We got nitpicky in Washington, first ever road game for the kid. So you're checking these boxes in what have you done, the experience. So you've gotten some of these big experiences out of the way. And I think that's really helpful. I think a schedule like this is really helpful because if you had started off with 3 cupcakes, I don't think you would have the maturation and development that you're at today. Now you have a pretty tough test.
That's where I was going next.
Champaign next week as well.
Yeah.
And so this is, again, what do you do in your second road game? And in Wisconsin, the week after that, I think I was shocked at how they played against Michigan. I thought Wisconsin was going to absolutely crumble. They kept that game pretty close throughout the entire game. So that's not an easy game either. And what Ohio State needs to keep understanding is you're the defending national champions. You have a 1 next to your name. You are going to get the best of the best from every single team. Doesn't mean they're going to beat you. We saw last night. But you're going to get that best of the best. So how do you operate these next 2 weeks on the road, I think is absolutely crucial to Sayin's development.
Absolutely. And that's where I wanted to go next. And you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. How does all of this development go right into next week's game, traveling to Champaign? Because even though they got absolutely destroyed by Indiana, this is still a good team. This is a veteran team with a veteran quarterback, with a veteran offensive line. Now you got to see that development on the road and start to – are they going to open the run with the passing game first? Is that the identity of this team? We're going to see it on the road because they're going to have to lean on the best of the best what they got because Champaign's not an easy place to play ordinarily, even when the team's bad, but the team's good. They got a sellout environment now. Their season tickets were sold out for the first time in like 22 years or something ridiculous. So it's going to be a tough game on the road, and it's going to be a quality team to play. But
and it can often be a wind tunnel.
Yeah,
I mean, more often than not, it's a pretty windy environment. It is, and I think this is where you're going to see Coach Day's trust in Sayin, because I think the conservative play calling is, I'm not going to put this kid in a position where he has to start reading his third and fourth progression, which may be something over the middle, and I've got an amped up kid who's not started a lot, and he starts overthrowing over the middle, or starts, getting happy feet trying to read his third and fourth progression, and he starts getting in trouble that way, taking sacks, throwing interceptions. I am very curious to see in the first half against Illinois, do you start seeing more passing? And if we do, that is going to show that Coach Day has a trust in Sayin that I see you reading these progressions. I see you making the right read, even if it's a 3-yard check down. That's what I want to see in the first half against Illinois this week.
Absolutely. And I think that's going to be based on the film review from today. I mean, you saw what he did. Day needs to build that trust with the film review. He needs to make sure he's making the right reads, because we don't know what the play calls were. What was read number 1, read number 2, read number 3. We can kind of guess by seeing it and where his head was at. But read number 1 should always be to Jeremiah Smith. Just my personal opinion. Anyway, let's get back to Mika. She said, Buckeye Ladies, Thursday night show, 8 p.m. on the Ohio podcast, and going to be starting my own recruiting podcast on the same platform. Very good. That's going to be awesome. I mean, recruiting is the lifeblood of Ohio State and any college football program. I'm assuming that you're going to delve a lot into transfer portal too, because I think Ohio State for the next 2 years is going to rely more heavily on the transfer portal than they have in the past, just because of the outrageous numbers people are throwing around for, 18-year-olds coming out of high school. But that's a note for a different day. I do have to get into this one comment from the locker room because it's a perfect transition. We have not talked about James Franklin and the upset yet, and we're more than halfway through the show. So we got to give Franklin some love in here. I think Penn State and Texas should play each other in a minor bowl game because they were both picked to be in the college football championship. Wow. The mighty have fun. I mean, they both can still make it there if they win out, but you're going to have to win out in a tough Big Ten and a tough SEC, and I don't see that happening because I don't see Franklin coming in and knocking off Ohio State. He can't win the big games, and now he can't even win the little ones.
First off, it is October 5th, and Texas and Penn State have not beaten a Power 4 team this year. Think about that.
Wow.
Texas and Penn State have not beaten a Power 4 team this year. And if you go back to the rankings, which is why we all laugh about them, you had Texas 1, Penn State 2, and you had Clemson 4. Those teams are a combined 8-7 right now. So it kind of goes to show you we don't really know what the heck we're talking about in preseason, and we don't know what's going on early on. Here's the thing, and I'm glad they talked about this on NBC a little bit last night. I guess Franklin's got a ridiculous buyout, even worse than what we were, God, I cannot believe we were talking about that 10 months ago. It was silly talk with Coach Day. And so this might be a point where either there's a renegotiated buyout or Franklin, which I think he needs to do, realize this ain't the right place for him. And it's clear that they need a coaching change there. And it's maybe not a knock so much against Franklin. Franklin doesn't fit at Penn State, and nothing is working there. And they need to blow it up. That's it.
Yeah.
They're not there.
And
maybe
I don't see Franklin doing that. Why would you leave that money on the table?
I don't know. That's where you start talking about maybe renegotiating a buyout or something. But he's gonna have to get vilified at some point because he is not. This may just be a wrong fit, wrong place, wrong time situation, right? He could go somewhere else. Maybe it clicks there. I don't know. Because you see enough. You see enough on the recruiting front. You see enough in a lot of games where he's a really good coach. But maybe he's just not an elite coach. Maybe this is a guy that's more suited in the ACC Big 12 where you don't have as much pressure, where there's not as many teams, where you have a chance to get there. And then all you need to do is really get there. And then I know he's bucking the trend statistically, but more often than not, you get in one game, things happen. Fumbles happen, turnovers happen, penalties happen. You have that chance, and maybe there's just too much pressure at Penn State. Maybe you go somewhere like Baylor or Utah or something like that. There's not as much pressure. Maybe you perform better. I don't know. It's not working at Penn State.
Maybe he's a better builder of programs than he is as a sustainer. And so he needs to go and build it like he did at Vanderbilt.
There's no pressure.
Florida had to do it at Penn State. I don't know, but
some coaches are like that.
It's not working. It is not working for them. And wow, Texas, this has kind of killed Ohio State's schedule. It's a good thing we're number one and looking so pretty because our schedule's not helping us out much anymore.
What did Coach Day say to you last night, man? What did Coach Day say to you last night? It's not about anything else. It's about Ohio State. Ohio State, take care of business. I don't care about our schedule, strength of schedule, who we play next. It doesn't matter. If this Ohio State team performs the way they're supposed to perform and execute the way the coaching staff wants them to execute, nothing else matters.
Doug, it was complete domination. Doug, I got to meet you somewhere and get you a hat or get an address from you to send your hat. So let me know either way. Whatever you're on, whatever social media you're on, if you direct message me, I'll get you one. All right. One of these, whatever color you want. If you're up in the locker room enough, you get a actual locker room hat. And on the side, it will say locker room. All right. If you're an official member, only can get these through contributions to the locker room. So get in here, make some comments. People are coming back. Billy Tuesday's on his way there because he's been back for several episodes getting in here. So it's got to be quality. And then we'll take that black stripe off and send you a hat as a member of the locker room. So get in here. Get in here for some more. Keep coming back and become a member of our locker room. Let's get right onto it. All right. Ohio State comes out dominating fashion, wins it. Does this win mean anything to you in the grand scheme of things?
Yes, it does for a couple of reasons. And again, I think we wanted to see this team execute the way they should execute in a game like this. And it sounds really simple. It sounds really simple to put it in that context, but it's not. You need to start looking at October now of saying, okay, the opponent's on our schedule. We need to go out and execute our game plan. And again, as simple as that sounds, it is really complicated. And that's where I love his comments about, we're competing against us. It's the standard that we have. It's not about the opponent on the other side. It could be anybody. We need to go out and execute based on what we've seen and how we're going to exploit the team that we're facing here right now. And that's what you're seeing from this Ohio State team. And again, continue to grow, continue to progress. We don't need to continue to freak out here in October. And guess what? Even if this team stumbles in October, they lose to Illinois, they lose to Penn State. So what? New college football, new landscape, new world. It's about what are we doing today to put ourselves in a position to be national champions in late January. So we have to, as much as we want to singularly focus on this week in this moment, we have to take that step back and say, college football is different now. And we have to see what we're doing and progressing each week. This was a great stepping stone. That's how I look at last night. You progressed.
Sure. Yeah, and that's what we needed. That's what we wanted to see. I mean, that's what we kind of talked about. We need this team to find their identity offensively. And they did everything that we wanted from last week to this week. And I think that is their identity. And again, I'm going to go back to what Day said. looking through a wide lens. I think he already knew this was their identity. This is how they would play. He just wanted to test them a little bit. He knew that they could get the win on the road against Washington no matter how they played because they're that good on defense that you didn't have to stress the ball. And like you said, also, he wanted to build that confidence from himself, from his vision, to saying for how he was going to throw the ball against a team like Washington on the road. Come back home, air it out, make sure all the pieces fit, and then go on the road for that next challenge and see if you can just come out with your true identity and win that game big. Because I think they can. I think they can beat Illinois big on the road.
This team can beat anybody, but they could also lose to a lot of teams because that's football. As generic as that sounds, that's just the way life is. You have 4 turnovers and 9 penalties. You're going to lose against just about anybody. So they could beat anybody. They could lose to a lot of teams too. But what you want to see is what are they doing today to get themselves in position for January. And to your point, and I'm glad you made that point, maybe that's what he wanted to see in that first half against Washington. Can we run the ball on the road against a good team? A good team. I got to temper it up here. They really couldn't. Yeah. They really couldn't. And when they needed those, third and longish type plays, they were tough to come by because you got some decent parts at Washington on the secondary. So now that's where you say, okay, I'm going to look at that tape and how do I transition out of that? Maybe I pass the run instead of running the pass. You saw that in Minnesota. Defense keeps running the way it is. And what I loved about that first drive Minnesota had is the quarterback executed well. There were open receivers. Quarterback was hitting them. You never saw over the middle really open after that first drive. You never saw those things that you saw in that first drive. And what that showed me is Patricia said, okay, PJ Fleck, you show me your hand. Now I'm going to counter. You counter me. They couldn't. And that's that in-game progression that I absolutely love. And that's elite coaching.
Absolutely.
What you saw there.
It's like I said earlier, it was a bend but don't break defense. It bent once and never broke. It was absolutely awesome, the display that they put on. And they're talking about it in the locker room right now. The display was awesome. Before we get back to the defense, I want to go out here with Mika. Mika, you've been in the show a few times. Come back the next 3 weeks. You got yourself a hat. Join the show. Get in here, and you'll be a member of the locker room too. Love to have you.
Get her a hat. We'll get her on the show at one point. Love to.
And you join the show, you're definitely going to get that.
Yes.
You become a member right there.
The podcasting community, we want to support you all. We always want to shout out if you got a podcast about Buckeye football, let us know. This is a community. We're here to lift each other up. So definitely always want to shout out your show. Go follow her show, please, as well, too, everybody. We need all eyes on the Buckeye community. Yep.
Anytime you come on the show, give yourself a shout out right away. You don't have to wait for an invitation because our show is specifically designed just to be the pulse of Buckeye fans everywhere. That's what we want. We want whatever input that you have in the locker room. We're going to try to get it into the show as much as we can. And also we want to be real. It's supposed to be like two friends talking about football the day after the game. And that's what we are. We're two great friends talking about football the day after the game. So if you have any input to that, bring it on in the show, and it's perfect. Perfect for us, perfect for you, and Buckeye football. Sometimes the fans know best, really. You got that outside view, and you can kind of – sometimes they don't. Obviously, it can backfire. But sometimes fans, you watch enough, you pay enough attention that hey, Bo Jackson's elite. He needs to be running back number 1, and he is now. And that's what I tweeted out to start the show, or to start the game yesterday. It was like, oh, running back number 1 is running back number 1 now officially, because Bo Jackson, he's got a second level. And sorry, I got back on the offense before we got to your sweet defense, because everyone in the locker room is talking about that defense. I love Bo Jackson.
I can't stream it week, but this is again. I think what's, I don't want to say it's getting overlooked because I feel like we've talked about it, but this is coaching at its highest level, what we are seeing here. And you even go back again, you talk about the pulse of Buckeye Nation. Yes, we got ripped in December for the conversations we were having. Guess what, Buckeye Nation? We were right. We were right because Coach Day and the coaching staff were not living up to the standard at Ohio State. Everything is above it. There's nobody above Ohio State football in that standard. And
God.
Coach Day and that staff, God, family, Ohio State. I get it. But it's third on the list. Nothing's above it in that building other than those two. They were not living up to that standard. And everyone nationally wants to rip Ohio State, call us the lunatic fringe, all of that. You know who had the true pulse on that? Buckeye Nation and the fan base did. And they were saying what they were saying about Coach Day because he and that staff were not living up to that standard and were not elevating their players to that standard. He shut us up. He proved us wrong. That showed that he is an elite coach. But I think really this year, and again, go watch college football. Go watch college football. You're not seeing elite coaching anywhere. Highest paid defensive coordinator in college football just gave up 42 points to one of the worst teams in college football. You're seeing it even last night. Miami's up 28-3. Granted, it never truly felt like Florida State was going to win that game, but they recovered that onside kick. Who knows?
Different story.
Who knows? Oregon is solid. We'll see. I think they're going to handle Indiana pretty well, but who knows? Who knows what they do? So we've never seen Dan Lanning elevate to that level. We sure as heck has never seen Cristobal elevate to that level. Kalen DeBoer's kind of turning around a little bit, but who knows where that train goes. You're not seeing it really anywhere in college football, the elite coaching and development that we're seeing from Coach Day and this staff, and I think that's not being recognized enough.
You're right. You're absolutely spot on. And I'll add to that, how do you know the character of a man? How they respond to adversity.
Adversity.
Wow. They put on a clinic on how to respond to adversity. Absolutely put on a clinic that everyone should pay attention to. Because guess what? And other people were talking about who you're going to get instead of Day. They could have gone anywhere he wanted to after that Michigan game. He could have gone off to the NFL, ran off into the sunset, and be like, you know what? Didn't work out. But he got that team galvanized, and the team-only meeting included Day, and they turned it around. He took his shots from probably the team, saying this is what we need to do, and he's like, you know what? You're right. That's my guess. He was like, you guys are right. Let's figure out what we need to do, and let's go win the whole damn thing. And they did. And now he's on that second level. His mindset's on that second level. He's had a little piece of that national title, kind of euphoria, and he wants some more. Give me some more. Day is on another level, and glad to have him as a Buckeye. Couldn't be more proud of overcoming adversity and taking this team to a new level, right? You might have said he was born on third base if you're a Michigan fan, but guess what? He's hitting home runs now. Swinging for the fences.
Yeah. That's not relevant. It's not relevant. It's not relevant where you start. It's relevant where you finish.
Absolutely.
And that's the piece here that's most important because again, we have seen programs with great recruiting, lots of money, lots of perks. Texas A&M comes to mind. Miami comes to mind. These programs that do Oregon even, they don't win national championships. Because what happens is what you do during game day and what you do during the week is far more important than the recruiting you're doing in April. It isn't. You can go get 5 stars all you want. If you don't develop that talent and you don't put it together on the field on game day, doesn't matter how many stars are next to your name. So that's where you look at some of these coaches that are great recruiters, great in the offseason, great in the regular season, but they don't execute when the lights are brightest. Coach Day is. And he's parlay. Again,
I'm going to disagree with you on that.
You're always welcome to.
It does matter if you're 5-star. You just got to be 5-star in culture and attitude too. And that's what Day has. 5-star players with a 5-star culture. That's the difference. building that culture. In that, really, I'm agreeing with you, but disagreeing with you. Just
No, I hear you, but it comes down to coaching. It comes down to who's running the helm and that permeating throughout everything you do, every second of every day. But importantly, it does matter on game day. Yeah. It does. You look at somebody like Jimbo Fisher, who I know he won a title at Florida State, but he goes to Texas A&M, does a lot of things right. But you watch him on game day, and you're like, this guy has no idea what the heck he's doing on game day. And so that's the missing piece. And you could do that with a lot of other, you could do that with a lot of other coaches nitpick. You are now looking at a coaching staff that you have the utmost confidence in, that on game day, they're going to call the right plays, put their people in position to win. They're going to have a big picture focus with an immediate attention focus on the game at hand, and they're going to do that. And what I think is so critical here is Ryan Day is trying to accomplish something that has never happened at Ohio State, and that is back-to-back national championships. That is insanely difficult to do, given the amount of talent they lost to the NFL, 14 NFL draft picks. And he actually has this team playing better than they were playing last year at this time.
And what's better?
That is
the defense is better than last year. And they lost 8 starters to the NFL. 8 starters. I don't know that's ever been done before. And you look at the locker room, what they're saying, all attention's on the defense. The entire Buckeye defense staffed with Twitch monsters. Doug Shepard, you're absolutely right. And then following that up, boom. And Matt Patricia has them playing with great discipline, Doug. Billy Tuesday, absolutely spot on. And that's what I'm saying. It's the culture of this program that's taken over. And it's all levels. It's who you're recruiting. Are their parents great? Are their siblings great? Is their identity great? Are they going to be able to fit our culture? Who are we hiring as defensive coordinator, as offensive coordinator? Does that fit our culture? Are they the best players we can get that also fit our culture? And you know what kind of discipline and heartache and hard work that takes? Like, this is all second level, from all levels at second level. Just absolutely impressive. Like, being able to pull a guy like Matt Patricia that should be somewhere in the NFL down to the college ranks, and him enjoying it, says a lot about the culture of the program. Says a lot about what they have. Matt Patricia made his chances and game over. He's absolutely following it up. These Buckeyes are next level. Don Miller, I don't know if I've ever seen you in here, so I'm going to give you a little shout out. Go Bucks.
But that's what I think was most surprising is you see these coaches who are typically NFL or college. Now, you see some blend from time to time, but I think a lot of coaches set pretty early on where they're going to be by and large, and where their strengths lie, because it's 2 completely different type of programs between the NFL and college. I was blown away with Patricia going to college football. He just did not strike me as the type that would excel at college football. He seemed very much ingrained in the NFL. Predominantly his entire career was in the NFL. And so what he has been able to do to adjust his personality, to adjust his coaching, his philosophies to compete at this level is special. But I'll also say too, this doesn't feel like a college football defense. This feels like an NFL caliber defense. And so maybe that's made the transition a little bit easier for him. If he had gone somewhere like Tulane or something like that, maybe that would have been that true college experience. Maybe he looked at this opportunity and saying, they have enough talent. They have NFL quality players. So this is not that big of a transition for me. I think he has been able to educate. He's been able to instill discipline, which they had last year. So I don't want to say they never had it, but I think discipline's the key, because every time you watch this defense, they seem to be in the right place. And that is not an easy thing to do at the defensive level. And that's a testament to Patricia.
Absolutely. I will agree with you on that 100%. You know what? I don't know why this came to my mind, but imagine all those Michigan fans if Matt Patricia's defense causes that win, and what he did to their Lions, their Detroit Lions, they were all saying, like, this is a terrible hire, absolutely horrible hire. And if he is part of the reason why the Buckeyes go up to Ann Arbor and wax Michigan at the end of the year this year, wow. That's just going to absolutely put a dagger in the back of those Michigan fans. And I want to say it because we had a little troll come in here and say go blue, but I didn't give him the time of day to put it up there. Oh man, yeah, 5 stars.
Listen,
not all 5 stars stand out. I agree with that.
There's a big difference between being a head coach and being a coordinator. A big one. There are people who can excel at being a coordinator and atrocious at head coach, and vice versa. There are great head coaches that may not be great coordinators. They need that bigger picture feel. So, to sit here and say it's a bad hire because he didn't do well as the head coach of the Detroit Lions, guess what? There's a long list of people that didn't do well as the head coach of the Detroit Lions. So, I don't hold that against them. And maybe he's just an elite coordinator, which there's absolutely nothing wrong in being that. And he's excelling here. He's finding his niche.
I think this is worth pointing out too, that Matt Patricia and Larry Johnson work incredibly well together. Everyone on that defense is working incredibly well together. It was a fit, somehow, some way they get Matt Patricia into the building and realize, oh, this guy fits our culture, our identity, and he's an absolute savant when it comes to calling the defense. This dude's legit.
Genius.
I mean, this defense is, like you said, it's unworldly. It's something we haven't seen. It's historical. 5 points per game. You have to go back to the early 1900s to see that. Think about that.
Yeah, you don't see that.
Nowhere in modern, and especially in the modern open offenses that we've had now, where everyone's airing it out. This is absolutely insane.
But I think even more the key too, you could be like, okay, 3 of those 5 games weren't against great competition, right?
Okay.
We all know garbage time, right? Second, third strings in there. It's very common to give up touchdowns in the fourth quarter of games like this. Very common. Your second and third string are carrying that mentality of saying, no, we're not giving up points. We're not going to let them do that. Again, that is a culture. That is something that says you fight every second of every practice, every time you get on the field. We are not giving up points. We're going to be the best defense in the country. That's a locker room thing. That's a culture thing. That's what we're seeing different here than really any other iteration that we've seen in the past at Ohio State.
It goes back to Aaron Scott's being 13 times in a row, running down, being the first man to the 30-yard line, making that tackle and getting support by his teammates, by his coach. He got called out. That's the culture they're building. So if you're not in those first team reps, you're working your ass off to become one of those guys that's in the first team reps, because if you don't, someone else behind you is going to elevate their level of play and get better and better and better. That's the culture we have, and that's what's happening. And Doug, going back to that Detroit experience with Matt Patricia, I absolutely think that humbled him, and he's a different person. My personal opinion was he tried to be Belichick, and he wasn't Belichick. You got to be yourself.
Nobody's Belichick.
Yeah.
Except
for and you've seen that in North Carolina. Even Belichick's not Belichick.
Well, again, Nick Saban was terrible in the NFL too. So let's all pump the brakes on this. It is incredibly difficult to excel at both. That's why you've only seen a couple coaches ever win a Super Bowl and a national championship, and a lot of that was a long time ago. So, it's really tough, especially now, to parse out between the two. But that's where, again, I think at some point maybe we do get Mika on the show and get that recruiting perspective, because I also want to say this too, as you're reading articles this week, we're getting a couple months away from signing day. And this is where Ohio State fans, you have to overlook, we're not getting every 5-star. It's not about every 5-star. It's not about who's going somewhere and getting the biggest paycheck. That's not the mentality at Ohio State. We need to be looking at the 4 stars who are hungry, who love football, who say, I'm coming here because I want to develop over 3-4 years. I want to make it to the NFL because that's where I'm really going to get paid. A singular paycheck in 3 years of my life, and then I fizzle out and never play again in the NFL. That's not the mentality we want in Ohio State. You want to come here, we'll make sure you get compensated for it. It's not going to be what you get at a lot of other places, but you're going to get compensated for it. You're going to fight. You're going to grind. You're going to get guaranteed nothing. And as you develop over these years, maybe you get 1 to 2 years of playing time. We're going to get you NFL ready. If that's your mentality as a 4-star, come here. If you're looking to get a big bag of money right now, go to Texas Tech. Go to Miami. Go somewhere else.
What I'm personally loving about it, too, is years past, that Phillip Daniels would have been lined up on the other side of the ball playing against us, and we would have all been like, how did we let him go to Minnesota? Now he gets to come back, play for his home state team, and be a number 1 draft pick coming out of Ohio State and have that pride. Like, he's got that nastiness level because he got that opportunity, right? And coming out of high school, he didn't think he was going to get that opportunity to play for who he really wanted to play for, the Buckeyes. He went to the Gophers, developed a little bit, and they were like, oh, he's the real deal. Let's bring him in. And then he comes in, and he's supposed to be the backup, earns himself the starting role by just being a dog, being on that field, being that junkyard dog. Like, back alley, if I'm taking someone with me, it's Phillip Daniels for sure.
Yeah,
100% of the time.
I agree.
Maybe our
and that's that recruiting transfer portal perspective, which other podcasts may have a better feel on. That's why bringing them on could be helpful. But that's the key to all of this, and that's where again I want to tell Buckeye Nation, don't start freaking out when 5 stars are going here and 5 stars are going there, and somebody we really want. Day has the culture. Day has the fit. And if anybody isn't coming here because maybe they want to start right away or they're not being guaranteed X, Y, or Z, great. Go somewhere else. We don't want you.
And those guys are probably going to transfer from where they're going to now. Sorry to interrupt you, but those guys are probably going to transfer. They're going to enter that portal. 9 times out of 10, they're going to enter that portal because they're not going to get what they want at Texas Tech or wherever they're going. They're going to leave. One thing changes. They're not strong-minded. They're just following that dollar. And if that's your only attribute to football, is I just want to be in here and make money, not for the love of the game, not to get better in the long run, because football ends at some time. That ball is going to be deflated, right? You got to have that mental aspect and that ability to transition to something else. And they're developing young men for life, not just for Buckeye football.
Exactly. And that's where you come to Ohio State to build yourself up to be NFL ready and life ready. That's the mentality. That's the culture here at Ohio State. You want to grab $5 million while you're in college and go off into the great beyond. So be it. Go somewhere else for that. Not going to begrudge you of it. I'm glad these kids are getting paid. I love it. But it's not about that here. It's about something greater than that. So
we looked up before the top defense a couple years ago, and it wasn't 7. I don't even know if it was single digits. I'm going to look it up again because I really
I mean, Billy Tuesday spot on. That defense that Georgia had.
It was good.
Their first national championship. Oh, it was. I mean, I can't remember
that was
how many draft picks they had in the.
Was it 2021?
One.
Georgia's defense averaged 10.2 points, 10.2 points per game.
And that was an elite defense, though. Let's not kid ourselves. That defense, phenomenal. Probably carried that Georgia team again. I know Stetson Bennett got most of the love, but that defense was lights out for Georgia. And that's a great blueprint for what you're seeing with this Ohio State team. Is I just need Julian Sayin to be 6, 7 out of 10. Like I don't need him to be elite. I need him to just continue with the accuracy, continue with the progressions, put the ball in the right place, and he's not turning over the ball. I think that's another thing we got to tip our hat to, and maybe that's because Day has gone ultra conservative with him by and large. Okay. But he's not making bad reads.
He meant regular season points per game, and I don't even know where to find that, but I'm sure I'm not surprised.
Just go with it. He might be right. I'm not going to sit here and argue that. Yeah,
probably are right. But that's impressive. Even 10.2 is impressive.
Yeah,
absolutely impressive. Well, and this is a good point by Doug too. Until a team buys a national championship, I'm not concerned about recruiting. I trust Day and I trust the staff. Absolutely. I really think
I don't think you can. I don't think you can. It's too hard in football.
It's got to be a little bit of a mixture, right? I mean, you see the New York Yankees buying championships. So
New York Yankees haven't won a championship since 2009.
I know, but they were buying championships before.
Well, baseball is completely different.
Yeah.
Baseball, yeah. I'm not going to compare baseball to football in that regard. But again, we talk about it. You can buy 5 stars.
There we go.
A lot of them on.
That's why Doug is in here. That's why Doug is in here. He brings the stats.
When you start giving us stats prior to World War II, I tend to fade out a little bit. I think Wittenberg was a powerhouse at that time too. So, and Ohio Wesleyan. So that's a little tough for me. But I don't think you're ever going to see that buying it, because again, you can bring in all the talent you want. It's about executing and it's about coaching. That's what I wanted to really get into today, was the fact that it's not just about the talent on the field. We have to start recognizing that we have an elite coaching staff. And go watch college football. You are not seeing any other team right now that you say, wow, they're executing their offense the way they should. Their defense is always in the right position. They're disciplined. They're smart. They're not getting penalties. They're not turning over the ball. You're not seeing that anywhere else in college football. You're seeing it at Ohio State. Coaching is our differentiator right now.
And getting back to this Texas Tech, if they're spending that much money and they do have a good coach and a good culture, that's where you'll see the difference. That's where you'll see the difference for sure. Because look at the league that they're in, first of all. Start off with where they're at. In the Big 12, and Joey McGuire taking over that program. Yeah. He's in his 4th season, and they look good. I mean, but the Big 12 needed someone to come in and just take over, right? Because they lost everything that they had as far as dominance, right? You lose Texas, you lose Oklahoma. Who's left to take over and just absolutely be dominant? Texas Tech can do that. Any of these teams can take over. They just got to be willing to fork out the money, number one, the investment, and pay the money for a solid coach too, to create that culture. And if Joey McGuire is going to be the one to do that, Texas Tech is going to be a force to reckon with. But what we're really trying to point out is, you could spend all the money you want, but if you don't develop a culture, a winning culture, and an attitude, that money's going to be worthless. Yeah, you might have a decent team, but you're going to lose games you shouldn't. I think Oregon's building a culture that's sustainable.
They've never won. Again,
yeah, but
the standard
you're also talking about a
championship.
Yeah, but you're talking about a new coach now that's the one building that culture.
Nike has been pumping money into Oregon for 20 years, man. They've been buying players for 20 plus years. They have infused everything they have into that program, and they have won nothing.
But they didn't have a coach they didn't have the coach with amphetamines in the system to take it to the next level. I'm just saying that because he looked.
Yeah, but they had good coaches. They had Chip Kelly. They had Mario Cristobal. They had Dan Lanning, and all in their own rights, good coaches, right? By and large, I mean, we make fun of Cristobal all we want. He's got Miami humming now. Talk to me in November, and we'll see. But I didn't rattle off 3 bums by any means.
Sure.
At the end of the day, they're not winning anything, and that's the standard of a program that wants to buy whatever they want to buy and be as flashy as they want. But do they really have the culture when it's crunch time? Do they really overcome adversity? We've never seen it.
Not yet.
Ohio
Not yet.
State is doing that.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
But it also
You're
took
right.
them. It took them a few years to get there, and we'll see.
They've always competed. They've always competed. They've just never been able to finish when the lights are the brightest.
Sure, but Dan Lanning's there. How many years has he been there? Is this his 4th or 5th year?
Yeah.
In the next year,
Chip Kelly took him to the national title twice, once against Auburn, once agast Ohio State.
Sure, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about their current program, where they're at, what they're doing. And right now, the storylines, if Cristobal does, because it looks like it's a direct path for Ohio State and Miami to run into each other. And Cristobal is currently 1-0 against Day. But it was a historically terrible defense that Oregon came into the shoe and won that game. Historically terrible. Yeah. One of the reasons why Knowles got the job in the first place, because that defense was that bad. And one of the reasons why it took Knowles 3 years to build the program was because it was at the depths of the bottom of the ocean. It was that bad. I mean, it was underwater bad. But absolutely terrible. How are the Browns doing, by the way?
What's that?
How are your Browns doing, by the way?
7-7 driving in.
Oh, that's not bad.
We're fine. But you're right. Knowles did develop that up quite well. But now you're looking at, again, what you're seeing at Penn State is you're seeing a good college defense philosophy. We talked about it a lot last year, kind of that bend don't break mentality, which I do like in college football, because asking a college offense to drive double-digit plays on you every single drive is extremely difficult for them. So if you don't give up the big play, by and large, you're in a good spot. His team's 3-2.
Yep.
You just gave up 42 points to maybe the worst team in your conference.
Mm-hmm.
Without weather, without any problems, sunny day in Pasadena, in front of hundreds of screaming fans. And
mostly Penn State fans.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think when they rushed the field, those 14 UCLA fans had the time of their life there. But that's the thing is that's not elite. That's not elite. And let's be blunt. Last year, that run, by and large, was the offense executing at a phenomenal level. Defense did well, but I never looked at that playoff run and said, oh, it's absolutely the defense. It was offense first, defense secondary. And it wasn't a knock against the defense. It was just the offense was playing at an elite level. What you're seeing with Coach Patricia is this defense is playing at a level we have never seen before, even under Coach Knowles. So it's a testament to Patricia.
Absolutely. I want to put a couple of these up here from the locker room because I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Billy Tuesday, Oregon and Miami are the only teams we're worried about this season. Agree. Maybe Indiana's going to –
Miami does scare me because they have talent.
Wait till next week with Indiana. We'll see what they do with Oregon. And they travel to Oregon. So if they pull off that, wow. That they're for real.
I think Oregon.
Again, we're going to wait and see.
And
and Doug Shepard looking forward to putting Miami back another 20 years again. That's absolute. That's classic. That stands the test of time. And then Cristobal hasn't Franklin yet this season, but there's still plenty of time. All right. I think we've gotten through everything we need to get through for this week. Hey, every morning after 9:30 a.m., possibly 9:40, depending on how quickly he can get up on the West Coast over there. That's 6:30 a.m. He's waking up just for all of you, because we are the pulse of Buckeye Nation across the nation. Join us morning after shows every Sunday morning after the Buckeyes play. Always have a Wednesday night show about 10 o'clock, sometimes a little bit later, because I will be in Columbus doing the interviews with some of the players. Sometimes it takes me a little bit to get out of there and get back and join the show. So until then, God bless everyone. Have a wonderful week. And in preparation for Illinois, it's going to be a ruckus show. Heading out there to Champaign. Thanks, everyone who joined us in the locker room. Once again, God bless OH. Go Bucks. Peace out.